Cadillac Unscripted is sponsored by Independent Bank, and it's on 107.9 CDY. It is another Saturday morning. Katy Huckle is with me. And in almost 21 months of doing this show, I don't know how we have not had this fella on.
Well, I know. Everybody knows this guy, okay? He's a man about town. Lots of talents this man has. Mark Lagerwey is in the studio with us today. And we both chuckled and said he's no stranger to the mic, is he?
I didn't have to set anything up for him. He knows what he's doing.
I think he should sing and play and do his thing.
Yeah,
we're here for another reason.
There's so much to get to, though.
There's so much to get to. Yes.
Yeah.
So, Mark, tell us a little bit about your project. This is something new. It's very exciting. We want to know all about it.
Yeah, so this is called the White Pine Ride. And it's a ride that we cooked up 3 years ago, the Cadillac Rotary Club. And, it's a ride for families and for all different levels of bikers. It's not a race. It's an opportunity to really enjoy one of the most remarkable resources we have right in our community here in Cadillac. Mm-hmm. This trail is rated as one of the top 100 rail trails in the country by the Rail to Trails Consortium. So, it's a beautiful trail, and a lot of times people don't know that much about it. The trailhead's a little bit out of the way, and so this is an opportunity to really appreciate a beautiful resource that's attracting a lot of people to our community, frankly, that is a boon to our economy as well.
Oh, absolutely. So Rich and I are not bikers. So educate us, please, a little bit. When you say top 100 rails to trails, what does that mean? And where does the trail start and end, and how many miles long is it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, a rail to trail is basically where they've taken old railroads that existed back into the 19th century and have turned them into to walking and riding pathways.
Okay.
And many of the pathways, Michigan is well known. I've forgotten the number of miles, but there's hundreds, if not thousands, of rail trail miles throughout the state of Michigan. So the White Pine Trail it's a state park. It's called the Fred Meyer State Park Rail Trail. And it goes all the way from just north of Grand Rapids all the way to Cadillac. So we are on the northern terminus of this 90-mile long trail.
Wow.
Now, not all of that trail is paved yet. It will be probably within the next 5 years.
Okay.
But currently, it is paved all the way from Cadillac to Big Rapids. So this is a ride for the north end. And we have rides that go different distances, and we can talk more about that. But essentially, it's all on a paved trail. And the nice thing about rail trails is they follow the grades that trains did. So there's never any really big hills. It's a very gradual grade.
I see.
And so, anybody can ride these trails. And, you don't have to be an athlete to ride these trails. You can really enjoy them.
Well, I think the names of we don't want to call them a race, do we? We're supposed to call it a ride, not a race, Rich.
Well, and it looks like the four different choices that the riders have. Basically, it's up to the skill level of the rider, right? Or the endurance level.
Yep, exactly.
What I like to see here is that there's a picnic. See, Rich, this is critical. There's a picnic involved in this when you return to Cadillac from 2 to 5. I love it. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we've one of the things we've done this year is we've adjusted the date for the ride a little bit later than the last 2 years.
Okay.
We were running it the weekend after Labor Day the first 2 years, and this year we've pushed it out to the early October, so the very first Saturday in October, for a couple reasons. One, it's a beautiful trail with the fall colors starting.
I see.
And I think if you look at the weather conditions, who knows what's going to be better, the week after Labor Day or the first week in October? It's probably, odds are about the same.
Okay.
But we are running the ride just slightly later in the day. The way the ride's set up, you can leave anytime you want, because you can go on the 12-mile ride just to Hobart, or you can go to Tustin or Reed City or Big Rapids. So if you're a really serious bike rider, You can go all the way to Big Rapids, and it's an 83-mile round trip.
That's called the Tough Enough Tour.
That's called the Tough Enough Tour.
No, I think the Tustin Pleasure Peddler is a cute name because I think that's okay. The 12 miles is something you probably do with little kids.
Yes,
A
a lot of families. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly, for sure.
Okay, and then the Tustin Pleasure Peddler is 24 miles, okay? And so I like it that Mark's got in here one gravel culvert crossing, meaning everything else is going to be paved.
Yes.
Oh,
that's
okay.
correct.
So how good do you have to be to do 24 miles on a bike?
Well, that's a good question. I think just about anyone could do that who's used to riding a bike. You take the time. Takes a serious bike rider is going to go 15 to 20 miles per hour on average, but you can ride 8 to 7, 8, 9, 10 miles an hour and still really, you're not going to fall over on a bike until you get down to maybe 1 or 2 miles an hour. So,
right. And then the Reed City ride is 58 miles, and I like that. It just is what it is, and everybody knows how long it takes to get to Reed City. So, but like you say, it's a straight shot with not a lot of hills.
Yes.
I think people need to
Yes.
hear about that.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about biking itself. I know a lot of runners who, after some injuries, became bikers.
Yes.
Football players who became bikers. Can you tell us about when you got into it, you personally, and what that looks like?
Bike riding is just such a special sport because there's no impact,
Okay.
essentially no impact on your body. And it's not quite as intense as running, so it doesn't require quite as much cardio right up front.
Okay.
And it's just, and you get to go places and see more things than you would if you were running because you're covering more distance.
Right.
And you're also seeing places that you can't behind the wheel of a vehicle,
and
a car.
Yes, very much so.
So, and what I like about this ride is that you don't have any of those traffic concerns, do you?
Right. No concerns, except this year we do have one little thing, and that's one of the other reason we changed the date was that they are working on a culvert that needs to be replaced, which is near Ashton. So for the people that go all the way to Reed City or Big Rapids, there's a small detour. And we're hoping that will be completed by October 2. That it's supposed to be, but if not, there will be a short detour on roads, about a 2-mile detour.
So, and help me understand on races like the people that are on the Tough Enough Tour, do they bring their own water or are there stations? What is that? How does that go?
That's a great question, and they do both, really,
Oh, okay.
because we have rest stops at each of the 4 locations along the ride. So
Okay.
there's one in Hobart for the Turtle Pond Family Cruise, the 12-mile round trip. Tustin, we have one, Reed City, and then we also have one in Big Rapids. So you can stop there on your way out or on your way back.
Okay.
And you can get some snacks and something to drink. So you don't have to carry anything if you don't want to, but I would say serious bikers typically have their water on their bike as well, or sometimes on their back too.
Mm-hmm. I like the part about the scenery while you're biking. I think there's something to be said for that. And as we've noticed with COVID, Mark, more and more people are like, wait a minute, there's a resource out there. There's a golf course, there's a river, there's a lake. And
People have discovered the things that they can do in social distance.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, my best friend and her trainer train in the parking lot now.
Mm-hmm.
That she doesn't go to the gym anymore just because she's completely freaked out about sanitized equipment. And so all of a sudden she's doing jump roping and she's doing squats and push-ups and sit-ups and things she really didn't want to do. But the trainer said, well, you want to be socially distanced. Here's your mat and here's my mat and here we go.
In many ways, the pandemic was good for nothing, okay? But it was good for rediscovering things like biking, running, golf, things like that. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And this trail, I've watched it because I've been riding and I ride a lot. And there's way more people than there used to be. And there's another big factor now too, and that is e-bikes. And you see many of them on these trails now. And on the Michigan Rails to Trails, the lowest category of e-bikes are allowed on these trails.
Okay,
So
whoa. What is an e-bike?
an e-bike is an electric assist bike.
Oh.
So you still pedal, but it's got an electric motor that assists you. So this makes biking accessible to more people that might not be physically fit enough to pedal a regular bike.
He's being very kind. Part of me is kind of going, now, come on now. But you're right. I mean, if it means it's getting someone in motion,
yes,
then mission accomplished.
Yes.
I had no idea there was such a thing. Did you?
No, I did not.
They're very hot commodities these days. They're everywhere. Any bike is hard to get right now, but I think e-bikes are a little easier to get just because of the supply chain issues with COVID and everything.
True. Pools,
bikes,
trampolines.
Kayaks, any of the outdoor recreation stuff you're talking about, Rich, it's hard to get equipment because there's
such a high demand for it.
Yeah.
Right. I love hearing about the Turtle Pond family cruise. And one of the reasons why is because this is little kids from a very young age that are off the screens and not in front of the television. And they might be in one of those little huts that people hook behind their bike, but they're out in the fresh air, with mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, and it's a healthy behavior.
Yes.
It's something they're doing together.
Very much.
I remember when my 22-year-old was little, like 3. I was running a road race, and I think it was a rotary road race, Mark. And as I came across the finish line, everyone was clapping, and he thought they were clapping for him. Well, he was in one of those little carriers or a stroller or something, but he was like, look at this, woo, But I think my point is just the sense of accomplishment from a start to a finish. Mm-hmm. It's good for these kids to see this at a young age because it's going to give them an appetite for it.
Yes, absolutely. It's a great family activity. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, it's already time to break. See, Mark, I always say when someone really knows what they're talking about, the time just goes speeding by. We'll be back with Mark Lagerwey and more of Cadillac Unscripted right after this.
We're back for part 2 of Cadillac Unscripted, sponsored by Independent Bank on 107.9 CDY. We spend 30 minutes talking about some local things going on every Saturday morning here on 107.9 CDY. Katy Huckle is my co-host. And this week's topic is the White Pine Ride coming up on October 2nd, starting in Cadillac, going to where you want, and then coming back, right? Mark Lagerwey is our guest. And Mark, we're glad to have you with us.
We want to talk, Mark, about there's a registration fee to get into the race. What are you going to do with the proceeds? What's Rotary going to do with that money?
Yes, so what we do is we allocate half of our proceeds to the White Pine Trail.
Okay.
And we've been giving that funding to the Friends of the White Pine Trail. And we are currently, from our first 2 years, actually we donated $8,000 to the Friends of the White Pine Trail, and we are going to be building a picnic shelter at East 44 Road where there's a trailhead there for the White Pine Trail. So that we hope may even be in by the time of the ride, but we're working on getting contractors and that type of thing, so we don't know for sure if it'll be finished. So half of the proceeds go to improvements to the White Pine Trail. The other half we use as a club to support other charities that we support.
Awesome. So for those of us that don't know a lot about Rails to Trails, what is a trailhead, Mark?
A trailhead is just a launch location where a parking lot is located where you can get on the trail.
So you could say to your friend, yeah, I'll meet up with you there at this trailhead, and
Yes.
that means there's a place for you to be and to jump on.
Correct.
Oh, okay. And whereas other parts of the trail, not so much. It might be, okay, got it. You mentioned a fall color tour, so you're going to get your exercise. You're going to be able to see the leaves changing and all that kind of thing. How much does it cost to get into the ride? And then tell us what's included. It sounds like a T-shirt and a picnic.
Yep, a T-shirt and an afternoon picnic. $40 is the registration fee. You can register as a group, and then you can get a $35 rate.
Ooh.
Frankly, we don't make that much money off the registrations. That's not, we spend some money on food, T-shirts, all that type of thing. Where we really get the support is through our sponsors, who we put all their logos on the back of our T-shirt. And so there are different opportunities, and many businesses and industries in Cadillac support this program. We have 4 different sponsorship levels. We've got a platinum at $1,000, and a gold at $750, silver $500, and patron $200. Mm-hmm. And I go out and talk to people. It's always amazes me how quickly people support this. I think people really see the value of this trail, and they also see the value of biking. particularly as we were talking about after COVID. It brought people outside to do things that they could do outside, and many of them said, wow, I'm going to keep doing this. So this is a great ride to celebrate that.
It sure is. And I did not realize this is one of the top 100, rails to trails in the country. But when you talk to young industry executives that have moved into the Cadillac area and you ask them, okay, you could have gone anywhere. It's things like this that will differentiate us as a community. There could be somebody out there that's really into biking. I have a friend that was really into theater and small town community theater, and that's why he chose Cadillac, and he's a hotshot attorney. So I think we need to remember, yes, it's here for us to use, but it's also a little gem and asset to make Cadillac a cooler place.
Very much so. This trail is so beautiful, it's historic. It goes through little villages that used to be train station stops. Even the little place of Hobart, which is close to that Turtle Pond area, was a little town with a train stop back in the day. And it goes through some beautiful territory. Also, the Pine River headwaters is just north of Tustin, so you've got some lowlands with beautiful swampy conditions. And some beautiful valleys and trees, and it's a scenic ride, and it's one of Michigan's prettier ones.
While we're talking about the ride, you did mention that half of your proceeds go towards improvements. What about the trail needs the most improving?
I think at this point, the thing that this trail in the north end needs, because it's fully paved and it's well maintained by the DNR and by the Friends of the White Pine Trail, it needs benches, it needs picnic shelter. If you've gone to Tustin, you'll see they have a picnic shelter there that's identical to the one that we'll be putting at East 44 Road. So,
little places along the way that you can stop.
Places along the way to stop and
Okay.
relax. And it's not just a trail for riders either. It's for walkers, snowmobilers in the winter. Those type of amenities, I think.
Okay.
Make it more special.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
So, Mark, you're retired now officially, which means
Yeah.
it feels like you're just getting going. It doesn't feel like you're retired, but tell us a little bit about what Rotary does. We know they do amazing things, but tell us a little bit about what they do in the community and then what it takes to become a Rotarian.
That's a great question. We just celebrated our centennial last year.
Wow.
And so for 100 years, we've been, what we say is service above self.
Okay.
That's our motto, to try to serve our community and our world for big causes such as peace, and smaller causes, well, just as significant as eradication of polio in the world. That's been a big priority of Rotary.
Clean water.
And clean
was
water
another
is
initiative.
another one of our initiatives, yes, and we support that throughout the third world as well as in America.
And then the exchange program does a lot to build bridges and mend fences.
Exchange is just one of the marvelous programs. It's really a good exchange program, which unfortunately has been shut down now for it'll be probably 2 years of not being able to do it until we get back to it.
Oh, okay. And then locally, the Pavilion, Rich, and the Kenwood bathhouses, the bathrooms there, those are all Rotary projects. And it just...
CASA.
Again, making a strong community even stronger.
Yes.
And even more attractive, and then giving people healthy extracurricular things to do.
Yeah. And one thing people don't know about our club is we have a pretty good corpus in our foundation because of some generous donations that this club received. So we have about $1.7 million in our foundation, which is affiliated with our club. And so our commitment is to spend all the profits from that. And last year we gave away $100,000 for our centennial, and that was from our trust. So
amazing.
It's just a wonderful testimony to the people who gave the money to built this.
It also is a testimony to the membership of the club with credibility and trust of what you're going to do with the money, donor intent.
Yes.
And so, do we get to know where the $100,000 went?
It went to 25 different organizations.
Really?
Yeah, we just picked as many input POs as we thought were deserving, and And we tried to make it a surprise, but during COVID it was kind of hard. But we called them all down to the pavilion, and we said we got something to present to you. So
and they had no idea.
They did not know it was coming.
Oh, that's awesome.
The awards went from $2,500 up to $10,000.
Wow. And then you've got a robust scholarship program as well.
And a scholarship program as well. Yeah.
And your yardstick is doing the most good for the community, right?
Yes, very much so.
There's a junior Rotary Club, if you will, called Rotary Interact. Interact, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're like a junior Rotary Club, and they go around doing good things and helping people, and again, teaching young people while they're young to contribute. Just recently, I had this meeting with my mentor, and he said, one way to get our young people out of this COVID funk is to ask them to volunteer. Because all of a sudden, they have an understanding that the world is about more than just them. And that's what Rotary's all about.
And that really expands, when you're young, your focus is narrow. It just is.
I know.
And to have somebody take somebody under their wing who is a teenager or early 20s or might just sit back and do nothing but complain about the community, show them what's going on.
That's right.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yep.
What else do we need to know about your ride, Mark? Are you the quarterback on this? Is it because I see the bike rack on your car? So
I keep trying to get a new chair, but they keep saying, no, you're doing it. So.
You want to know why? Because nobody can do it as good as you. That's probably what that means. Plus, you're still passionate about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do ride a lot. We have a great website. I should mention that. It's whitepineride.com. Very simple. And that's where people can register. That's where you can get more information about the ride. It's a pretty easy and painless to register too. So
okay, so you have a goal with this. I know you do. If you hit a home run, okay, how many riders will you have?
I would say a home run would be 200 riders.
All right. Okay.
Now, our first year we had about 130. The second year with COVID, we had restrictions that the DNR put on us as well last year.
Okay.
I think we had 80 or 90. So we would like to at least hit our first year, and maybe if we doubled it, that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. How do folks register?
They can go to our website at whitepineride.com. We also have the codes on our flyers and brochures, so you can just easily connect to our website with your cell phone.
Okay.
And it is important to note that there is no solid start time to this.
There is no solid start time.
Oh,
That's
wow.
right, because we want people to say, okay, we're going to have a picnic to return to between 3 and 5 p.m., so let's calculate how long it's going to take us to go to Hobart or to Tustin and back.
Mm-hmm.
Rich, it would take us a long time, you and I, because we're not bikers. But I see what you're saying. Back into the math of we want to make the picnic.
Right.
It's important for folks to know it's a ride, not a race. It's brought to the community by the Rotary Club. It's called White Pine Ride 2021. There's a 12-mile, a 24-mile, a 58-mile, and then the Tough Enough Tour, which is an 83-mile ride to Big Rapids and back.
Yep. So the short ride is to 48 Road. The secondary one, the second longest, goes to Tustin and back, and then Reed City is the third one. And if you're tough enough, head to Big Rapids and back.
I'm going to the Turtle Pond.
Oh, you are? Okay.
But Mark, thank you so much for the passion that you're bringing to this. It's really a cool concept, and we just hope that you hit the mark with your 200 bikers.
Thank you.
Mark this down on your calendar for Saturday, October 2nd. Register, support the White Pine Ride, support Rotary. Mark, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have we covered it all?
You have.
All right.
Amazing job.
Thank you very much.
Best wishes on this.
Okay.
Join us next week for more local chat on Cadillac Unscripted, sponsored by Independent Bank on 107.9 CDY.